Hey everybody, Big Bird here. I know, I think it's been quite a while since I made my last video, and I mentioned that maybe I'd do some question and answers. Darwin on the Trail does a really great weekly Q&A session, so I don't necessarily want to step on any of his stuff, and I may not actually have enough, Q&A to do one of these videos every week, but I'll do it occasionally. So since he does a really great question and answer series, what do I have to offer? And Kathy Jenner made a comment that she says, see, there are always folks out there in the community that are planning their hikes and can glean so much intricate knowledge from someone who has been out there crunching the miles like you. Well, I think what I have to offer is a different perspective in that I'm older, I'm post-heart attack, so I have medication issues that I have to deal with, and so far things have not gone like I wanted them to. I didn't get a through hike in 2016. That's not what the trail dished out for me, so I had to stop. I tried to finish it up in 2017, got injured, haven't given up yet. I'm going to go back out in 2018 and try and finish this up. So hopefully I'm going to bring some persistentness, is that even a word, to the trail, and perhaps these question and answer series can deal a lot with maybe focusing on the older hiker, somebody a little more seasoned in their physical abilities. With that, let's see, Leo Wolf. Now what I did is I went back through some of the comments in some of my recent videos that I've had, and where I've answered some people's questions, and I've gone ahead and pulled those out to make this series. So what I ask is, if you have questions you want to ask them in the comments section of this video for the next time. And so each time we'll do one of these Q&As, make comments to this video of things you want me to talk about next time. All right, so Leo Wolf asks, what can an old hiker expect on his days on the trail? What was your idea of a hiking day? Up early and hike till dark? What about when to start? When starting, does an older person need to start with, say, an 8 to 10, a 12 miles over a day for, say, a month? And his plan is to start out steady and slow, and he's going to start hiking when he's 67. So when I started last year, I was 58, and I had planned, being a helicopter pilot, I had done quite a bit of planning, and I had everything planned out, I think all the way to the end of the Smoky Mountains, and how soon I get through with all of that. And that pretty much went out the window right away. I had planned like 6 to 8 miles a day, I think, to maybe to Hiawassee. And then I was going to jump right up to the 15 miles a day. I had it all, my AWOL guide was all marked up, and for 15 miles, and it was all my resupplies were all pen, inked in there in pen, and things didn't really work out that way. Being an older hiker, what I found was I was and overweight, so it was taking me a lot longer to condition to the trail than I thought it would. So for me, I had planned a 6 to 8, and I kind of stayed with that. If I remember going back and looking, and I had there's a couple 11-mile days. Those are long days, and maybe a 12 now and then. But for the most part, I kind of backed off to planning about a 10-mile leg every day, and I planned my resupplies for 10. So like for me, going through the Smokies, I mean, I had to go to Gatlinburg to resupply. And then people started telling me, hey, it doesn't really matter until you get to Damascus. Then you got to kick your days up. So I really kept my miles down, all the way through to Damascus. And then I started to try, and I planned that 5-day, 15-mile-a-day out with my supplies, and I couldn't do it. It took me 6 days to do it at 75 miles, and I went hungry that last day because I didn't have any food. So I think for us older hikers, it may, maybe if you've already conditioned yourself, you can do more miles. But I would say don't get discouraged plan on fewer miles until you get into shape. Sir Pax-a-Lot at the top of Georgia Hostel in Hiawassee, he gave us a little lecture, and he said, you know, it takes about, I think he said it was 300 miles for your muscles to get conditioned to hiking, and 600 miles for your tendons. Okay, so I mean, 600 miles, that's way past Damascus, for example. So don't be surprised if you're older that it's going to take you longer to condition. I never really felt like I got any kind of trail legs going, to be honest with you. Even after that 931 miles into Virginia, I still didn't feel like I had any trail legs. My friend Brett said that he was way up in New England before he felt he got his trail legs. So, you know, everybody's a little bit different, and just expect that, and don't get wrapped around the feelings of failure if things don't go like you think they're going. Just, you know, just kind of slug it down and keep working at it, and realize that, you know, everybody's a little bit different, and it's okay. Enjoy the trip. Enjoy the trail. Okay? It's the journey, not the destination. You know, Katahdin is maybe the reward at the end, but it's not the reason to hike it. It's everything else that happens on the trail that makes it so wonderful and so attractive to a lot of people, not just getting there. So, all right, what was your biggest, this is from Dan Austin. He said, what was your biggest obstacle or worst day emotionally and or physically? It was emotionally, it was the day after hiking up the approach trail in the snowstorm, and that last mile and a half to Springer. Honestly, I was ready to give up and go home. Physically, I was exhausted, and emotionally, boy, it was tough. It was a tough one. I almost made me give up. I tell people now, don't do the approach trail. It was such an emotional and physical trial and trauma for me that I said I almost gave up. I don't think I took any video going up, but I did take some still shots, and I'll tell you what, I'll insert a few of them right here. So how'd you like that snow? That was supposed to be 41 degrees and rain, and it started snowing on us, and we had 6 to 8 inches of snow, and it was like a blowing blizzard. And then trying to get water the next day, I went down to 0.3 to water, and just slipping and sliding the whole way. And that was my experience with the phenomena that I call the anti-hiker hunger. In Darwin's I think last video, somebody asked about that lack of hunger when you start out hiking. He said he had never experienced it. He's got a fast metabolism. For the rest of us, a little bit older, carry a little bit more weight. I thought it was very common. You talk to a lot of people starting out, when you start out backpacking, if you're going long distance, it seems like the first couple of days, you just don't have any hunger. You know you need to eat. You're forcing yourself to eat. You know, there's too much in a 2.5 serving Mountain House. You know, you can hardly gag down the Idaho potatoes that you've got. It's really hard to eat because your body's rebelling. Your body's like, no, I don't want to do this. You can't make me do this. I don't want to spend this energy doing it, and almost like a nausea. You just don't feel like eating. For me, that would go on about 2 or 3 days, and then eventually my body would go, okay, you know, okay, I'll let you eat some now without making you sick. So you do have to fight and struggle with that. Let's see, Greg Thomas asked me, is GetHook just GPS, or can you also check the weather with it? If not, what weather app did you use? Okay, GetHook is a GPS enabled application that allows you to orient yourself on the Appalachian Trail, and within a range of the map. It's like a little strip map, if you will. So if you get too far off of it, it's not useful. Like, for example, if I turned it on now, being down here in Florida, I don't think it would be workable. But it does a great job of pinpointing on the trail. It does use the GPS in your phone, and yes, there is a GPS in the iPhone. And it will also work in airplane mode. Okay, you don't have to have your phone on, if you will, with a full data package to be able to make it work. Now the weather app, I just used my browser to go to www.atweather.org, and that works for both the Pacific Crest Trail and the Appalachian Trail. And you basically, you go on there, you select the state, Georgia, and then you can go ahead and select the shelter you're at, Springer, and it will bring up the weather for that. And the temperatures are adjusted for altitude, because as you know, you can, if you use the Weather Channel app, for example, and you were looking at the temperature, but you're 3,000 feet higher. The standard lapse rate of 3 degrees centigrade per 1,000 feet, going to be 9 degrees centigrade cooler. So it makes a difference. I found that the atweather.org, if it said it was going to start raining at 2 o'clock, within plus minus 15 minutes, it was raining at 2 o'clock. If it talked about how much rain you were going to get, it was pretty accurate about how much rain. I think they did a really good job of that. And you pull it up for each shelter. It got a little tricky as you're going through the Smokies and that eastern Tennessee, because the AT is going back and forth across the border. There's not always a little sign that says you're in Georgia now. I mean, you're in North Carolina now. Now you're in Tennessee. Now you're in North Carolina. Now you're in Tennessee. So if you go to Tennessee and try to pull up the shelter that you're looking for and it's not there, oh well, let me go to North Carolina. Go back to North Carolina, look at it. Oh, okay, there is a shelter. So it kind of depends on a little bit more tricky through there. I just use the Weather Channel for my radar. Okay, that seemed to work out real well for me. And there's other apps out there. I think one's even called My Radar. I think you need to have a radar. Because then that kind of tells you if you get the feeling there's thunderstorms out there, you can sometimes hear the lightning flashing, pull it up, see which way it's moving. Is it moving towards me or is it moving away from me? So in summary, yes, Gut Hooks uses your GPS, so you don't really need to have another Garmin on the Appalachian Trail. Now the CDT I hear might be different, but for the AT, no. All right. I got to take a quick break here. I'll be back. Okay. All right. Sorry, I had that scratchy throat thing going on. Had to grab a quick drink. Chuck McMenemy, maybe is how you pronounce it. On the asking a question from my bear bag video, says, "How far from campsite do you hang?" And that's interesting because you're supposed to do 50 feet away. You want to get it away from your tent. Well, when you're starting out in southern Georgia, and there's a lot of people, or you're like even just a little bit of a bubble. There's tents everywhere. So if you go 50 feet away to hang, you're going to be putting your bag over somebody else's tent. Okay. Pretty quickly you learn that you're really hanging your bear bag to keep it away from mice, chipmunks, squirrels, but mostly, honestly, mice. That's really why you're hanging your bag probably 95% of the time. If there's bear activity, you'll know about it. And where there is bear activity, there's a lot of bear boxes and stuff like that. So you kind of know, oh, okay, I better use a bear box here because I need to keep my food away from a bear. But for a lot of places, like for Mountaineer, for example, at the Mountaineer Falls shelter there in I think it's Tennessee. The trees, there's no place to hang a bag, so you're pretty much hanging them on the little the strings with the little ties on it in the shelter. The trees are so you'd have to have a 200-foot rope to go out and hang a bear bag, and a lot of the places don't provide bear cables and things like that. So I mean, where there's bear cables, yeah, there's probably bear activity, and that makes it really nice. Everybody hangs there, or like in the Shenandoahs, they have the bear poles. You put your food up on the bear poles. Other places, you're really hanging your food to keep it away from squirrels. It really comes down to when you find a place to hang, you're going to hang. It might be 20 feet from your tent. It might be 70 feet from your tent. It might be 100 feet from your tent if you feel you need to hang. And because honestly, it seems like there's not a lot of places to actually hang, especially if you've got a lot of people that you're sharing a tent site with. So anyway, I think there was probably, in the 1,400 miles that I've hiked so far, I think there's probably 3 times that I had my food in my tent with me, actually, in my bag. And I was really worried the whole time that I was probably going to end up with rodents trying to get into my tent. It just because of the circumstances of either weather or where we were at the time kind of drove me to make that decision to just keep it there. Let's see, Howie Landers asked about my phone, whether it was waterproof, and if I use any kind of a tripod or a camera holder, and can you tell me what was your biggest equipment fail? Well, what's ironic is I used an iPhone 7. I did not use the full waterproof OtterBox because it interferes with the video and definitely the audio. I do have it in one of those OtterBox Executives, which basically gives protection for the phone around the edges, like if you drop it. So and it doesn't interfere with the cameras or anything, or with the audio. It's definitely not waterproof. So I had this thing that I bought for the iPhone that, it was supposed to be a waterproof pouch, and it had the string so you could put it around your neck, and that thing failed on the second day. I mean, the whole thing just disintegrated. So after that, it was basically, I used a Ziploc bag, a freezer quart Ziploc bag that I would put my phone in if it was going to be weathery. And then I got to the point where it's like, you know what, I just always kept it in it. Because if I was doing a stream crossing and fell, I didn't want my phone to get run, so I would just keep it in that Ziploc bag, zip it up, throw it in my pocket, needed to use it, take it out, take it out of the Ziploc bag. I didn't use a tripod. I went back and forth. I thought about wanting to take one, and there's a lot of people that start out with the little Gorilla Pods and then they end up sending them home. Maybe if you're a serious film type person like Spielberg, you're gonna maybe have something like that you want to use. But for most of us, I didn't use anything like that. That was really the first disappointment. The second day, I think, the third day, my watch strap broke on my Pathfinder, so I sent it back at Neil's Gap and didn't even use a watch anymore. Now, one of the things I just realized I forgot to answer from Leo Wolf, talking about what older hikers could expect. I realized there's quite a bit of that I didn't answer. So hiking days, I was not one to get up like early riser. Bless his heart, I can't do that. Half the time I don't fall asleep until so late, even though I want to go to sleep. I'll go to bed when it gets dark, like everybody else does. It's called hiker midnight. It's dark. There's nothing else to do. You go to sleep. I would always have a hard time actually falling asleep during that period of time. So for me, an early start was getting up at 6 and being on the trail by 7:30. Most of the time I started hiking by 8. And I had a goal where I wanted to get to for that night, and when I got there, that's when I stopped. There's times I didn't feel good. I might stop early in the afternoon. I was always usually stopped within at least an hour of dark, because I wanted to get where I was going to go and get everything set up and get my dinner, because I didn't hike in the dark. I never hiked in the dark. I never hiked with a headlamp. Okay, I was having a hard enough time as it was not getting injured, and with good conditions, I wasn't going to put myself in that peril by trying to hike in the dark. So, and when to start as far as time of year, that's way up to you. I would rather hike in the cold than hike in the hot heat. Now that I've done it, I wasn't excited about hiking, through the Smokies with the cold, but after hiking in July in Virginia with the humidity and everything else, I would take the Smokies in the cold with 4 layers in a heartbeat over trying to hike in the humidity in July in Virginia. So, but then, that's just each person individually as far as when to start. If you're going to hike slower, like me, you're going to want to start earlier in the year so you can do fewer miles and not be penalized in the end. I started on the 3rd of March, and by the time I got off in the Shenandoahs, I was looking at probably having to do a little flip-flop because I was not making the high miles that I needed to be able to keep going to finish by 15 October. Especially now that I've been up and experienced some of those rocks in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, I realized that there's no way I could have made it in 2016 all the way. I definitely need to do a flip-flop. So, all right, that's what I have for you today. Once again, leave comments and questions below, and next video, hopefully we'll be able to give more input and insight from an old hiker. Okay, all right, everybody, you have a good day. Oh, one thing I'm thinking about doing, and I'm not prepared to do it today, is do some what called, maybe at the end of these Q&As, do something like trail talk, where I'll take the AWOL guide and look at my first, and I'll break it up by resupplies, okay, and talk. Okay, I started out. This section of the trail took me this much. This is how much I did per day, and this is where I went to resupply, and what do I think about my resupply options? For example. That first leg, I had 4 days worth of food. The gal that I think Clarity, who checked me in at Amicalola Falls, said, "Oh, you only need 3 days of food, so take some of that out." Well, I kind of knew I wasn't going to hike in 3 days, so I needed a little bit more, and I'm glad I kept it because it took me 5 days. Okay, but Early Riser did it in a day and a half. People are different. But, you get my perspective and maybe reasons. Okay, everybody says, send a resupply box to Neil's Gap. And I'll tell you why I think it's a good idea. So if you like the idea of doing a trail talk where I talk about those sections of the trail and kind of walk you through it, what I've done so far, I'm willing to do that. This is the kind of stuff that I know when I was preparing for my hike, I really enjoyed. The Redbeard, Will Woods. He broke his. He's got a video series that's broken up for each state. And I just relished going through that. And it's one of those, gathering information. So this might be an opportunity to, where we focus on the logistics of each leg that a lot of people are interested in. And talk about some of that, the psychological challenges of going up Sassafras Mountain, for example, and then how later on it's like, wow, that was nothing, but at the time it was everything. So maybe so if you've got an opinion about thumbs up, thumbs down on the idea of maybe doing a trail talk as part of a bonus section for each of these videos, let me know. All right, why do I do this? This is my way of giving back. I don't live close enough to the AT to be a trail angel, to give people rides, and do trail magic. Okay, it's not feasible for me to do that. So how can I give back? Doing a video series allows me to give back to the AT for the experience and help other people prepare for their experience. So anyway, all right, everybody, we'll see you later, and have a great day. And I'm out here at my business in Panama City because we're in the tropical storm warning for Irma. So I'm going to be staying out here for a couple of evenings, just making sure that the generators come on, and making sure the folks feel secure here in our assisted living home. So, all right, take care, everybody. Bye.